Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be sharing a beautiful bag recipe from a famous brand. It's made of just 4 flat rectangular pieces. The original bag had a leather handle, but since I made the bag smaller, the leather handle was too large, so I made a braided handle with my own yarn. This turned out really stylish. It's a medium-sized bag. Not small, I'd say a bit larger than medium, but you can make it larger like the original, like a beach bag. If you'd like to make one, I explain how to do it in detail throughout the video. I highly recommend watching the video without rewinding. You can make the rectangular pieces larger by adjusting the numbers and increasing the dimensions as desired. Note that I use colors similar to the original. The original bag was made with paper yarn, but you don't have to use paper yarn. You can easily make this with raffia yarn, macrame yarn, cotton yarn, or any other yarn you like. I'll show you how. Let's open the inside. Look, I folded it like this to fit the screen. It's a truly beautiful bag. It's shaped like a tulip bag. Look at it. The interior is so colorful, it's really nice to drink in. And as I said, I made a knitted handle with its own yarn, also in black. As I said, it's not a small bag. It's not overly large either. I didn't feel comfortable with a bag that was too big for everyday use, so I made it this size. But as I said, you can enlarge it. The entire construction process is in the video. I hope it's helpful. It looks great when worn. It's a bag we can comfortably wear, whether handheld or shoulder-mounted. You can sew lining inside the bag if you like. You can also use a snap closure in the center of the opening, along with leather accessories. It's entirely up to your taste, but I plan to use it this way. It's a wonderful project as it's truly elegant and delicious. I hope you enjoy it and give it a try. Before we move on to the detailed recipe, I'd like to make a small request. I'd be very grateful if you could subscribe to our channel for free, like the video, and leave a comment. Let's move on to the recipe. I bought the materials I used for my bag from Aksa Orgu Boutique. For those interested, I'll add the link in the video description. You can watch it there. I'll be adding the pages. I use paper yarn in this project, but it doesn't have to be paper yarn. You can use any yarn you like. We're making our bag using a total of 5 colors. We used about 100 grams of yarn from each color. If you have any leftover yarn, I think it would be great for this project. As I said, we need approximately 100 grams of paper yarn of each color, so about 500 grams in total. My crochet hook size when working with paper yarn is 3.5 mm. You can determine your own crochet hook size according to the thinness and thickness of your yarn, the density and looseness of your knitting. Look, we are knitting 4 rectangular pieces straight. I want to show you like this. We knit each one the same size. All 4 are the same. Now I will give you the number in centimeters here. We are actually working normal single crochets. I started with 21 chains. I worked 20 single crochets until I had 55 rows. After knitting 55 rows, I drew a black outline around it. I worked 3 single crochets in the corners and 1 single crochet in each of the other sections, creating 4 straight vertical side pieces. My piece is 45 centimeters long. All the pieces are the same on the short side. The short side also measured 14 centimeters. I prepared all the pieces the same way. Sometimes the thickness of the yarn can vary from thinness to thickness. One example was a little oversized by 2 centimeters, while the other was a little undersized. What did I do with these? I evened them out with an iron, see? We knit the last pieces together and finish them off with an iron in centimeters. We'll iron the pieces evenly and then move on to joining them. But I want to show you how I did it. Here, I asked you about single crochets with a macrame yarn. I want to show you how I made the frame. I'll continue with a 3.5 mm crochet hook. I'm coming right now. First, we start with chains. You can make your bag as many single crochets and as many rows as you want. You can adjust the size and sizes you want, larger or smaller. When you play with these numbers and the measurements, I now come to the lock chain. After the lock chain, I pull my starting chains a little looser than the setting I knitted. As I said, I prepared my knitting by pulling 21 chains. Now here is an estimate, 2, 4, 6, 7 chains or even 8. Let's pull 8 chains so that it is enough for us. I turn the purl part of the chain, not the straight part. I left the last chain I made and look at the back cut line of another chain. We will use the single lines here. The other 2 lines will remain on the other side of the hook. I left the last chain right away. I inserted the back cut line of another chain and pulled out a loop. There are 2 stitches. I fill in the single crochet. I insert the back cut line of another chain and pull out a loop. I then made a single crochet in this way. By knitting 1 single crochet in each of them, I prepared a total of 20 single crochets. You can play with these numbers according to the thickness and fineness of the yarn you will be making. As I said, I already gave you the measurements in centimeters. Now the end. I've come to the chain, single crochet. Now look, we've completed the first row like this. Now we're making a chain, turning the knitting needle, and I'm inserting directly into the first space. I've slipped a stitch, single crochet again, and I'm inserting into the top of the next single crochet. I've slipped a stitch, single crochet. Now we'll continue in this way, knitting 1 single crochet into each one. If there are any beginners among us, be sure to work the pattern in a small piece like this, then you can enlarge it to the size you want. Look at the last single crochet, it looks like a spike. I'm inserting into the last single crochet as well. We completed the second row of single crochet. Now we made a chain stitch for the third row. We will always do the same ending and beginning. Look at the first one that comes right away. I am sinking into the gap. I'm working 1 single crochet into each single crochet. There's no other process involved. We start by making a full chain and complete the knitting with a full single crochet. Look at the last point where the spike shape appears. I'm inserting a single crochet here as well. Don't let that part fool you. Look, this is a chain turn. We're not inserting there. If you're confused at the ends and beginnings, be sure to count how many single crochets you started with. The second row should always have the same number of single crochets in the next row. You can also ensure this by counting. I made a chain, similarly inserting 1 single crochet into the first space that comes up in this manner, inserting 1 single crochet into each row. I've progressed by knitting. Now I'll show you how I knitted the frame section. That's why I want to knit a few rows like this. A chain stitch is very enjoyable, so you can easily finish it in a day. Perhaps the katip is a bit stiff, so it knits a little slowly, but if you sit down, you can easily pay it off in a day. My advice to you when knitting katip is to be sure not to tighten your hands. If your hand is too tight, definitely increase your crochet hook size. When knitting a little loosely, the knitting looks very nice and it looks beautiful. Don't knit too tightly, in other words, the knitting is beautiful. It doesn't work, it both forces your hand and looks small. The single crochets are so loose that knitting a little will both make knitting easier and finish our knitting faster. Now look, I continued until I got to 55 rows. Now I inserted the last single crochet and made a chain. Let's assume that we have knitted 55 rows on these 20 single crochets. Now I cut my yarn immediately. After cutting, look at the outermost knitting I knitted. I will take the black color. Now let's take a different color. I took a different color. I immediately start working with a chain. After starting with a chain, we made our locking chain. I'm starting right here, right from the first chain stitch, right from the point where that short yarn is. It looks like a spike. There will be two lines like this. Right here, I'm inserting the last single crochet into the space where I worked it. I've made a stitch. I'm hiding these 2 yarns by pulling them together. I'm knitting 1 single crochet here. Let's pull these yarns. It shouldn't look too loose. Now look, we're inserting into our starting chains. We're knitting a single crochet right under the single crochet. The numbers are already clear here. We'll have 20 single crochets. Now look at each one. I'm coming to the chain point. I'm inserting a single crochet into the next single crochet. Now when I reach the last corner, I'll knit 3 single crochets for the turn. 1, 2 in the same space and 3 in the same space. After knitting 3 single crochets, look at the insertion in the appropriate spaces along the edge. After your eyes adjust, you'll see it easily. Look, we've knitted the first row of this row. I'm inserting into my first space here right away. Let's not insert into the same space, as that would be like increasing. It's important to knit all the pieces the same way so that if the numbers are equal, we won't have any problems joining. Look, I'm inserting into another white space right away. I'm inserting the single crochet at the bottom like this. The single crochet spaces are already visible on the edge like this. I'm passing with the single crochet. Now I'm inserting at the last point and see the single crochet we've knitted here. The first single crochet comes right on top of this and I'm knitting 3 single crochets, 1, 2 and 3. I've knitted my 3 single crochets. Then look at our last row. I'm knitting single crochets right on top of the single crochets. I'll continue like this. We'll work 3 single crochets into the single crochet on the last edge. Look, the frame is really neat. As I said, it's not difficult at all, but it's useful to show these steps for those who don't know. Those who know how to knit probably haven't even seen them before. You'll probably be able to work these sections very easily. Now, I'm on to the final single crochet. We'll also hide the short yarns at this stage. It's a very clean work. I immediately knit 3 stitches into the last single crochet. After knitting 3 stitches, I immediately insert the stitch that appears here. When you look at it, the places where we'll be inserting are already clearly visible. You can see the frequent needles facing each other. Look at this. Also, look at the spaces right here. I'm syncing, I'm getting the same numbers. Now, when we started, we knitted 1 single crochet. This is important. Now I come back to the space of the first single crochet I started with. I knit the second single crochet, then I'm knitting my yarn. I removed enough stitches from my stitches. I insert the yarn I cut from the back to the front of the first single crochet. I take the yarn I cut from the front to the back. I see the back cut line of the last single crochet I knitted and the single wing on the outside. We insert these 2 lines. I want to show you like this. We insert it here. That is the point where the yarn comes from. I take the yarn again and insert it in from here. Now what happened is the slip point. We have given us the connection point. We have given us the 3rd single crochet. We knitted 1 at the beginning. We made 1 single crochet and a join while finishing. We have obtained a completely spike-like appearance. Then we hide this yarn in between with the yarn that is the same color as the back and make a chain like this. Finally, after securing this, let's do like this. Look, we have finished our work. As I said lastly, we iron with a steam iron, because when we knit by hand, we inevitably mess it up. We prepared the pieces like this. The only difference is, as I said, we started with 21 chains. We knitted 55 rows of single crochet. I hope you understand the logic now. We have knitted and completed our pieces. Now let's move on to the joining part. Look, I'll show it from a wide angle now. We have 4 rectangular pieces. I'm bringing these right now. Look at them like this. First, we will create the base. See, I am bringing all 4 pieces together in the middle like this. Now I will get help from the safety pins. I will hold the points that I will connect with the safety pins like this. It would be better if we start by joining one first. Now we will start from here. We will join the other 2 pieces and turn. Then we will take another one and join it from here. Think like this. Now I will show you with the safety pins. I am inserting the 3 chain stitches in the corner. We had 3 single stitches in the opposite piece. By inserting the second of the 3 single stitches, because it is exactly there will be intersecting points, I insert them and connect them like this. Now we'll join this completely with single crochet. It's black. There's no difficulty in this either. Now we'll count from here. 21, including the 20 edges. There are also 22 single crochets here. I'm roughly attaching them from here. We'll count from here and come to the second of the triple crochet in the corner again. Then look, hold this piece here and we started knitting here using single crochets. We'll continue to knit this far and see that we're joining the stitches with single crochets until our piece is finished. Now I'll fasten this stitch like this again. As I said, I'm trying to describe it with safety pins. Look, I put this piece together first, then our other piece here was like this. Let's show it like this. It was like this. Now let's see it like this. After I put this together, I'll immediately take the other piece. This piece will join right here. Let's secure it with safety pins like this. Again, the middle intersection point. This will be the second set of single crochets. Look, we'll start from here. We'll join it here again in the same way. Now let's combine. Let's assume we combined. You'll be more comfortable doing it by number, or if you assemble it visually, you'll get a neat look. Now we started from this end and joined it here. Now I'm folding this piece and the other piece here right away. Look like this. Let's assume I immediately connected it up to here with a safety pin again. I'll show it like this. Look, it's gradual. We combine it like a staircase. Then I take the other piece. Look, this is like this. Let's see the base part. This was like this. What are we going to do about it right away? I turn it so that I can do it easily. I take a hook again and immediately connect it from corner to corner. As I said, we will pass these intersecting points only with a single crochet. There is no difficulty. I fastened it here. Now I will fasten it here. As I said, I'm attaching the safety pins by eye. I'm not interrupting this step so that the joining logic is clear. I've pinned it here now. Let's do this again later. First, we started joining this section here. Look, we joined it from this middle section. We're almost there. I'm attaching it here. I'm just eyeballing these now. We've merged it here. We have one last open point left. You see the base like this. Look, this is the base part. Our last open part here is the last brown and cream color that I will combine. We will fix it here like this. What will we do immediately? We will come back and start from the base again, knitting our frequent needles. From here, after merging, we will immediately merge this piece to the last remaining piece. Now that the bag's shape is established, you'll see its logic more clearly. Let's hold it like this and see that the ends are now this tulip bag. As you can see, the ends are even. This completes the bag. The assembly logic is exactly like this. It's quite easy. You can assemble each piece individually. You can also use different methods. It's entirely up to your taste. You can assemble it however you find most convenient. Look, it's in a tulip shape. I'll hold it like this specifically. It's not assembled yet. Look, this completes the bag. Now I'll show you how to assemble it. Since I'll be combining it in black, I wanted to show it up to this stage. Now let's open it like this. Some of it I want to join immediately. Let's share. I hope it makes sense to understand. Now, let's show the joining on the knitting. Look, I opened the pieces again. Now, I will join these two pieces first. Let them stay aside. I start by creating a loop with a chain and join with a single crochet. As I said, you can sew with an etamine needle. You can make slip stitches. You can also make different joinings. It's completely up to your taste. You can do whichever you want. Now, there are 3 single crochets opposite each other here. Look, I'm inserting the treble crochet into the top of the second single crochet in the middle. There are 1, 2, 3 single crochets on the opposite piece. Immediately into the second one, like this. Look, I'm inserting the second needle. I took out a noose. I'm also putting the short yarn in between to hide it. I'm knitting straight through the single crochets. There's no other process. The single crochets will be evenly spaced. I've brought the yarn in. Now I'm knitting through the single crochets. I hope you understand. I'm a little hesitant because the color is black, but as I said, it's just single crochets. I'm saying the second number. I'm knitting through the second single crochet of the 300 single crochets. Then I'm knitting through the top of each single crochet in turn, making sure not to skip stitches. I'm making sure to slip stitches and single crochet directly like this. I'm joining. I want to get to this end. Now look, I'm going to insert the single crochets opposite each other and then come back. Let me show you this turning right here. Look, we're starting from the base here. We're turning and joining this piece like this. We'll gradually join all 4 pieces like this. Let's get right to this part. We've come to the turning here. There are 3 single crochets in this long piece here. This piece continues straight. Look, there's nothing different we're doing here. We're inserting the single crochets here in this order again. There's no difficulty in turning either. What do I do now? I'm inserting the same regular single crochet. Look, I'm inserting the single crochet on the opposite piece, just like the triple crochet. So there's no different process here. Each single crochet is knitted once again, and this is how we complete our turn. There's no difference. Now we'll knit our single crochets. Up to this stage, we'll have broken off our yarn and hidden it. Then let's move on to joining the others. We've joined this piece here completely with single crochets as I described to you. Finally, you can also give it a light steam with a steam iron. Single crochet. It's like this because we've ironed the other pieces. If the tight stitch looks like it's not ironed, you can smooth it out by hand. Sometimes even smoothing it out by hand is enough. But you can also lightly steam it at the end. Now I'm here. I'll join the other vertical piece, then the horizontal piece. Now there's an important trick here. Look, I'll take the piece I'm going to join like this. I'll bring it closer like this. Now think of it like a square motif. When joining the pieces, look, the third piece will be included. We've joined 2 pieces. When the third piece is included, always keep it in mind. This is also the case with square motif joining. The third motif always joins the fourth motif diagonally at the intersecting midpoints. Now I want to show you how to do this right here. I'm supposedly explaining it, but since the color is black, it might not be clearly visible. After creating the stitch, I insert the second treble crochet of the third piece I'll add, which is the one right in the middle. Then we'll normally join the diagonal one to this one. This will join the brown one, look like this. But since there's an intersection in the middle, what should I do with the diagonal one? I'm coming. I've already inserted the treble crochet across it. Look, I've inserted the second single crochet right here. I'm inserting it again. I'm taking a stitch from here and hiding the short yarn in between. I'm knitting a single crochet. Now look, I've inserted the second single crochet of the first piece with the third piece. Now I'll leave the second single crochet of this piece empty. Why? Because we use this. Look, I've made a single crochet into the second single crochet of the treble. I'll skip this one here. It's as if I joined it with this one. The reason is this. When I join the fourth piece, the second single crochet of the treble will join this one. Look, we'll have intersected the middle section from here. This is the middle section. That's the logic. As I said, there's nothing really easy about it. If we just understand the logic, we can do it easily. Now I'm inserting the next single crochet into the brown piece. Now look at the brown piece. I knit the second single crochet, insert the next single crochet, and continue knitting in this manner, knitting each single crochet across from each other. Look, we've joined this piece in the middle like this. Now we'll continue from here, joining it up to here like the other piece. Finally, we'll knit the last single crochet, pull a chain, and hide the yarn inside, completing it. Now let's join this piece as well. Finally, let's move on to the fourth piece. I joined this piece as I described. Now we've come to the corner point here. I'm immediately creating a loop with a chain like this. Just as I described in this piece, I turn the stitch like this. I immediately insert the second single crochet. I left the brown single crochet here empty. I immediately insert the stitch where the double crochet is. Let's insert it like this. Look, I'm connecting the brown pieces diagonally, matching the diagonals. First, I make the connection diagonally. I'll show you this. Look, I first connected this piece diagonally across with a single crochet in the middle. Then I immediately insert the next single crochet. Now I insert the single crochet immediately after the second single crochet of the point will join, not the second single crochet of the next piece. I'll show you this. The next one I went down, I'm knitting single crochet again. Now we started from the middle section again. Joining from the intersection, now we'll continue by working one single crochet into each section. I want to show you this. Look, the base is like this. Now we'll join it from here, we'll join it up to here again and break the yarn as we did for the other sections. We have one last piece left. Look, we'll start this one from here again, from the middle section. Starting from the middle section, we'll join it with a single crochet and complete it from here. Look, we've already joined all 4 pieces. We'll insert the second single crochet into each other. Here, the middle sections are now intersected. We'll insert a second single crochet. We'll insert a second single crochet into this piece and stitch it together with a triple crochet, giving our bag its shape. Now let's bring our bag together as a whole as described. I hope this makes sense. It looks a bit complicated, but now it will take its shape. Let's complete our bag. Now let's move on to attaching the handle. Look, I've completed our bag as described. I also want to show you how it looks with an iron first. Look, I've ironed the insides. So don't be afraid to iron it, it won't lose its shape. First I ironed it from the inside with a steam quill. Then laying it down like this, I ironed the edges like this. I also ironed the seams with a steam quill, turning them over and over, and it created a nice shape. I want to show you this. It turned out really well. Now we'll add the handle, but I also want to mention this. The original bag is larger. I'll also give you the width and length measurements. If you're going to make this bag as a beach bag, the starting number is 5 or 6. You can make more single crochets, but definitely make it longer. I knitted 55 rows of single crochet here. You can also knit 10, 15 rows more to make it beach size, so you can make it bigger. But this is a bag that is comfortable for everyday use. I also want to say that it is a large bag, not a small bag. Now let's say the width of the bag like this. Again, when we measured 43 centimeters from the base to the tip, it measured approximately 34 centimeters. As I said, you can make it in any size you want using this logic. All you have to do is increase the number of single crochets you start with and the number of rows. If you do more, you'll have a longer, deeper bag. But as I said, this is suitable for everyday use. Now, the bag originally had leather handles. Since the bag isn't very big, I won't add a leather handle. The leather handle was too big. That's why I made a knitted handle. You can make the bag with larger leather handles if you like. Or you can use shorter leather handles. You can use bamboo handles. It's entirely up to your taste. But I had some leftover black yarn, so I wanted to make another handle from knitting. And to give you an idea too, here I worked 59 rows of single crochet over 5 single crochets. Just like that, the short side. Let's give the measurement. The width of my handle is about 3.5 to 4 centimeters and the long side is 40 centimeters. Now I made chainless turns here. I want to show this on the handle like this. I left a long yarn at the beginning, I want to say this too. I left a little yarn for sewing, then I immediately started pulling my chains. After the lock chain, I pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains. I immediately reversed the chain as in the beginning. I make 5 single crochets. Let's do it like this. I worked 59 rows of single crochet onto 5 single crochets, reaching a length of 40 centimeters. This was enough for me, but you can make it longer or shorter. Now we've started our regular single crochet row. I'm not chaining, I'm stretching it slightly, I'm turning the stitch. I insert into the first space and single crochet directly. Since it's now the handle, I didn't want any bulges around the edges. I made turns without chaining. I insert into the last single crochet. Single crochet. I stretch the stitch. I turn directly and insert into the first space and turn like this, preparing the handle. Now look at this little bit on the handle part. I will leave an opening and fold the handle in half like this. Let's do this right away. You can do this by sewing with an etamine needle. You can do it by combining with a single crochet. I will complete the handle by combining with a single crochet again. Look here, at the beginning, I will leave 2, 4, 5 single crochets. After the 5th single crochet, I fold it like this. After folding, I directly insert it. Look here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I insert it oppositely from the point where the 5th single crochet is. I passed my yarn like this, see directly. I did not create a chain this time, I connected it here with a chain for a certain amount. I left a short yarn and we will hide it inside. Now I am inserting into the spaces opposite each other. I made a loop and single crochet. I am inserting into the next space, single crochet. I left enough space to sew here. I left enough space to mount it on the bag. Then I fold it in half. After folding it in half, I will switch to single crochets like this. See, until the last point, then I will leave 5 single crochets again. Now I will connect the handle with single crochets like this. Look, we have made it a little thicker. You can sew it with an etemi needle or you can do it in slips now. Let's join in this manner until there are 5 rows of single crochet remaining and then break the yarn here. Finally, let's move on to assembling the bag's handle. I joined the handle with single crochet as I described. I left gaps around these edges for about 5 rows. Now we'll insert the handle. Look, I left long yarns. The flat parts of the single crochet will be facing up. I'll take one of my yarns from here and place it on my needle. I'll join it with the etemi needle. We've already determined the ends of the bag. Look, there are 4 ends. Now I'm bringing this bag right here. Look, I'll put it together from the inside. I'll sew it just like this. Let's place it nicely. Look from the inside before going outside the bag. First, I start from the black dots. I sew with an etemi needle. When it comes to other colors, I will join it from the inside. I will not take the thread out so that the black thread is not visible. See, we can pass it like this. From the tops of dense needles. Look, I can easily get through the black spots. You can line this bag if you like, but it's also a design that can be used without lining. Now look carefully, I made black dots inside and out. Then I'll secure the other points and insert the handle like this. Now we'll attach the other handle and the other end in the same manner, and then we'll finish the bag by inserting the other 2 ends and the handle. The bag originally had a closure here. You can use a closure if you like. This is a bag that can be used easily even without a closure. You can use similar leather accessories here if you like. You can also use different accessories. It's entirely up to your taste. Now let's finish the bag and quickly share its final look with you. We finished it just as we described. It's truly stylish and beautiful. I hope you like it and give it a try. I wish everyone who wants to make it easy. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.